In this video, we're going to discuss some of the more common development environments used for writing ColdBox applications. Technically, you can use any code editor you like, but there are some benefits to using certain tools as they provide you with extra features, better context, and assistance with CFML, as well as the ColdBox ecosystem itself. ColdFusion Builder is the IDE built by Adobe. It's based on the popular Eclipse framework, so if you're familiar with other Eclipse IDEs, such as CF Eclipse, Aptana, or PHP Eclipse, then the ColdFusion Builder IDE will probably feel very comfortable to you. Like the other Eclipse IDEs, ColdFusion Builder is divided up into various sections and concepts. First, you have workspaces for your different projects, and inside each workspace, the UI has a navigator view, typically found on the left-hand side of the screen. ColdFusion Builder also has a variety of panels and perspectives, which include a variety of features. Some of these might be familiar to you from other Eclipse IDEs, but there are of course several ColdFusion-specific features in CF Builder. In addition to the ColdFusion features that come with CF Builder, Ortus Solutions also provides the ColdBox Platform Utilities extension for CF Builder. This is a free open source add-on which you can install either from GitHub or from ForgeBox. Here's the GitHub screen. You can go to that URL and download it here. And here's the ForgeBox screen where you can download the app from ForgeBox. When you install the ColdBox Platform Utilities, you'll get all the original ColdFusion support from CF Builder, plus some extra code completion and other assistance specific to ColdBox applications. If you're a Sublime Text user, we have the ColdBox Platform Sublime extension available. Like the add-on for CF Builder, this is also a free open source plugin provided by Ortus Solutions. The extension includes functionality not only for ColdBox, but also for TestBox, MockBox, Wirebox, CacheBox, and LogBox. Among the features, you'll get code completion help for all the major ColdBox plus TestBox functions and scopes. Code snippets make it easy to create the various moving pieces in a ColdBox application. You can use these snippets to build CFC configuration files like the ColdBox CFC and CacheBox CFC. You can also use snippets to build new routing files, model objects, interceptors, event handlers, and much more. ORM is a popular way to manage writing code for talking to a database. It's especially handy when it comes to writing CRUD, the very repetitive select, insert, update, and delete queries we all must write for every single table in our database. ORM is a big time saver when it comes to CRUD. With the Sublime extension, you can automate writing much of the ORM code as well. Think about this for a second. With a traditional CRUD application, there could be lots of SQL queries you have to write for interacting with the database. That required many lines of code. With ORM, there are still files that need to be created, but those files are typically much smaller in size and take much less work to create. There is still some manual effort, however. With the Sublime ColdBox extension, you don't even have to write the entirety of those ORM config files. Virtually 99% of the repetitive boilerplate code usually associated with databases is gone by using this extension. And if you're unfamiliar with the concept of ORM, don't worry, we'll cover that in more detail later in this video series. Similarly, writing tests is sometimes seen as a big block of time, especially when people are new to test-driven development, or when it's an older application that's been around for a while and we're having to play catch-up with getting tests added. These things can indeed take some time, and there are parts of tests that can seem like boilerplate getting copy and pasted over and over again. Another great feature of the Sublime ColdBox extension is the set of TestBox snippets it includes. This helps to cut down all of the repetitive pieces of writing TestBox tests. There are over 20 shortcuts available to help make writing tests much more of a smooth process. All of this is available for free with the Sublime ColdBox extension. Dependency injection, or DI, is quite popular in web development these days. While it does have some benefits with regards to properly architecting larger applications, there's a bit of additional config or wiring up of the components that needs to be done for dependency injection to work. The ColdBox framework uses a library called Wirebox to handle dependency injection. We'll cover dependency injection and some Wirebox fundamentals in more detail later in this video series. But when we get to that part, You might find you'll benefit from having the Sublime extension installed, as it will save you time when writing your Wirebox code as well. You'll get snippets for creating AOP aspect objects, creating the Wirebox config CFC, provider methods, and much more. And again, don't worry if you're unfamiliar with these terms now. We'll cover them in more detail later in this series. The main takeaway here is that when you start using dependency injection, you can enhance your productivity by using this Sublime Text extension. As you can probably tell, the Sublime ColdBox extension really is a big time saver, especially if you're a slow typer. One of the concerns people sometimes have when starting with frameworks is that there are so many files in the application. While that's somewhat true, first, those files all control different features available to you in the framework, and many of them are 100% optional, so you don't even have to touch them if you don't want to use those features. And second, with a tool like the Sublime ColdBox extension, creating those files is incredibly simple and automated. So really, even for those slow typers out there, you shouldn't be scared off. There are great features to help you both baked into your IDE and provided by additional add-ons such as these extensions. All it takes is a little help learning how to use those features, and that's where this video series comes into play. Microsoft Visual Studio Code, or VS Code, has become an incredibly popular code editor over the last few years. It's free, it's open source, and it runs on Windows, Mac, and a variety of Linux platforms. If you're a VS Code user, you're in luck. There are 2 extensions available to help you get the most out of your ColdBox development experience. The ColdBox extension is very similar to the Sublime extension discussed earlier, but it's even better. Not only does this include the collection of snippets we mentioned before regarding Sublime Text, but you also get type ahead and scope recognition in this extension. Just type any of the recognized injections like controller, event, Wirebox, or Cachebox, and you'll get nice auto-completion for the corresponding lines of code. There are many other features planned for this extension as well, so keep an eye out on this one in the future. And if that weren't enough, there's a second extension available as well, just for TestBox. Why 2 separate extensions? Well, did you know that TestBox can be used to test any ColdFusion application? That's right, it does not have to be a ColdBox app. I'm going to say that one more time. You can use TestBox to test any CFML application. Now, obviously, the more well-architected your code is, the easier it is to get good quality test coverage. And there are definitely some benefits specific to ColdBox applications. But there are a lot of CFML developers out there trying to move forward with modern CFML, while also being stuck having to maintain a legacy application of some kind. With the TestBox extension broken out into its own space, you can use it for both your newer modern ColdBox applications and any legacy applications you're still maintaining. And hopefully, by the end of this video series, you'll have the skills and confidence you need to move those legacy applications over to ColdBox as well. At the end of the day, you should pick whichever editor you're most comfortable with. There really is no wrong answer. As long as you're productive, use whichever tooling you prefer. For most of this video series, I'll be using the VS Code editor, but other than the occasional hotkey or menu item, you should be able to follow along just fine in whichever code editor you prefer using.